All right, so my tax accountant, a big name in UK accounting, has put together this chat for us. If you're in the UK and you're wondering what this whole HMRC time to pay self-service is about, this is the place to be.
Right. If you're ever in a spot where maybe you need a little extra time to pay your tax bill, we're going to break down this time to pay self-service thing that HMRC offers.
Okay.
We've gone through all the official guidance and some recent numbers to bring you the need-to-know stuff.
So let's jump right in. What exactly is this HMRC time to pay self-service?
To put it simply, it's an online system HMRC has, and it lets people and businesses set up payment plans for their tax debts.
Right, okay.
The self-service part is what makes it pretty handy.
Yeah.
Instead of calling HMRC and waiting forever on the phone, you can usually sort out a payment plan online yourself.
It sounds pretty convenient, especially, if you've ever tried calling HMRC.
Yeah.
What about the types of taxes? What can you use this for?
Well, it covers a few of the main ones.
Okay.
You can use it for self-assessment, VAT, and PYE. And sometimes even corporation tax.
Oh, interesting.
The guidance on this was actually updated recently in January 2025, so we're talking about the most up-to-date info.
Okay, good. There's a limit to how much you can owe, though, right, to use the online service?
Yeah, that's an important point.
Yeah.
If your tax debt is £30,000 or less, you can usually set up a time-to-pay plan entirely online through your government gateway account.
Okay.
They've set this limit to try and help out a good chunk of the people who might need this.
Okay, that makes sense. So that gives us a good idea of what this time-to-pay self-service is. But do we actually know how many people are using this system?
Oh, it's a lot.
Really?
Estimates from just this past January 2025 show that around 1.1 million people missed the self-assessment filing deadline.
Wow, that many.
And it's likely that a lot of those people are either using or thinking about using this time to pay self-service to deal with what they owe and avoid getting hit with more penalties.
Right, right.
So that gives you a sense of how widely this thing is actually being used.
Yeah, over 1 million. That's huge. And we keep mentioning this 30,000 pound limit. Just how important is that limit for accessing the online tool?
Well, based on the data, it's pretty significant.
Okay.
HMRC's figures from 2021, and these are still relevant in 2025, show that about 95% of self-assessment taxpayers with outstanding tax bills owe £30,000 or less.
Wow.
So this online self-service option is available to most individuals who need a little breathing room to pay.
Okay, so most people are covered then. What about the success rate of these payment plans? If someone sets one up, are they likely to actually complete it successfully?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
And it's a big one if you're thinking about doing this. HMRC says that over 90% of these time-to-pay arrangements are actually completed successfully.
Okay.
So that seems to indicate that the plans people are setting up are generally manageable and the system's working.
Yeah.
It's helping people pay what they owe without getting into more trouble.
Okay, so let's break down exactly who can use this online self-service. We've talked about the types of taxes and the 30,000 pound limit, but what are the other key things that different people need to know? Let's start with self-assessment.
Sure. So if you're a self-assessment taxpayer, to use this time to pay online, you need to owe £30,000 or less. That's the first thing.
Right.
And you have to have already submitted your tax return.
Okay.
HMRC wants to see that return filed before you can set up a payment plan online.
Got it. And what if you're a VA payer, someone running a business and paying VAT, are the rules pretty much the same?
Yeah, for VAT payers, the £30,000 debt limit applies as well.
Okay.
And HMRC also needs your VAT returns to be up to date.
Right.
Well, one thing though, if your business uses the cash accounting scheme or the annual accounting scheme for VAT, you can't use the online self-service.
Oh, right.
You'll have to contact HMRC directly.
Okay, so that's important for businesses to keep in mind. What about employers who handle PII? Can they use the self-service too?
Yeah, if you're an employer and you have a paid debt of £30,000 or less and your pay submissions are current, you can use the time to pay self-service online too.
Right.
So again, having your records up to date with HMRC is key here.
Okay, you also mentioned a time frame earlier. How long do you have after a payment due date to set up one of these plans?
Yeah, generally you have to set up the payment plan within 60 days of the original payment due date.
Oh, okay.
And when you're setting it up online, you'll need to say that you can't pay the whole amount right now.
Right.
But that you can manage to make payments based on the plan you're proposing.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what if someone's tax debt is more than 30,000 pounds? What are their options?
Well, if your tax debt is over that 30,000 pound threshold, the online self-service isn't an option, unfortunately.
Right.
In that case, you'd need to call HMRC directly and talk through your situation
Right.
to see what kind of payment arrangements you could make.
Okay.
The number for their time to pay helpline is 0800 024 1222.
Good to know. It's always good to see how these things actually work in real life, though.
Right.
Do you have an example of someone who might use this and how it would help them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's say Sarah, a freelance graphic designer in Manchester. Back in January 2025, she got hit with a self-assessment tax bill of £12,000.
Okay.
Money was a bit tight, and she was worried about those penalties for late payments.
Yeah, understandable.
But her debt was under that £30,000 limit, so she was able to go online, log into her government gateway account, and set up a time-to-pay plan to spread the £12,000 over 12 monthly installments.
Oh, okay.
That way, she avoided getting those immediate late payment penalties.
Right.
And she was able to manage her cash flow because she had these predictable £1,000 monthly payments, plus the interest, of course.
So it made things manageable for her.
Okay.
This whole self-service option sounds like it's become more and more available over time. Has it changed a lot recently?
Yeah, it has actually.
Yeah.
The threshold for using the online self-service has gone up quite a bit.
Really?
It was £10,000 back in 2020, and now it's £30,000.
Wow, that's a big jump.
This change is really part of HMRC's move to become more digital.
Okay.
By raising the limit, they've made it easier for a lot more people to handle their tax payments without calling in.
Right.
This has probably helped reduce the load on their phone lines and made things smoother for many taxpayers.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this discussion about HMRC's time to pay self-service, what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
Well, I think it's good for you to think about how much time and stress this could save you if you're ever in a situation where you can't pay your tax bill on time.
Right.
Knowing that this option's out there and that you can access it easily through your government gateway account is a big help.
Yeah.
Of course, it would be ideal if everyone filed and paid on time, but this tool offers a really important alternative when things get tough financially.
Right.
It might be something for you to think about as you plan your own taxes. You know, could this be useful for you down the line?
That's a good point.
It's there if you need it.
All right, well, thanks for breaking all that down.
Yeah, no problem.
Hopefully this has given everyone some helpful information about HMRC's time to pay self-service.
Yeah.
It's good to know these options are out there.
Right.
So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time.
See you later.